2 Point Hospital, Wingspan, and Tiny Heist. This is Staying In.
Yeah, so I am basically treating myself this evening to a lovely, I'm glad you've asked, Roquefort 10. It's a beer, because I have reached...
Not a cheese.
34 years of age. I think they do cheese at the Abbey. Maybe they do cheese at the Abbey. They do bread, Sam.
Well, it is Roquefort, isn't it? So
yeah, but I don't think it's the same thing.
You know, but it might not be the same Abbey. But I'm assuming that Roquefort beer and Roquefort cheese is made in some sort of the same location.
Maybe it must be pretty intense for the monks up there. Because they keep, as I say, they keep some of the special stuff behind for themselves, and I wonder what that is. But yeah, I'm treating myself this evening because I took 3 days off work.
Okay.
Monday through Wednesday.
You're self-isolating.
And coming away from that, hopefully, I will come away from it with a qualification.
Oh, all right.
Monday through Wednesday, I did a software course called ISTQB Tester Foundation, and it is basically...
What's that as an acronym?
I'm not interested in being a tester at all.
Right.
It's not my area of expertise, but it was something I felt like I needed to understand more about the world of testing and software testing. And it turns out I knew nothing about the world of software testing, and that wasn't very helpful in my exam on day 3, where I was like, by the end of it, I was like, I don't know what any of this is about.
Yeah, but surely you learnt what you needed to know to pass the exam on days 1 and 2.
I will find out in 2 or 3 days' time whether or not that is indeed the case. And I will either be needing another one of these to drown my sorrows, or another one of these to celebrate. What I'm saying is I'm going to drink more of these.
Okay, in a very roundabout way.
Kris, when you bought yourself the very expensive and luxurious Wingspan, what were you treating yourself to? Was it?
I just won some premium bonds, Sam, and I thought,
all right, okay, well,
I could invest it in, future mortgage, or
but
I could buy Wingspan and one half of Pandemic Legacy Season 2, which at that point had just dropped in price.
Well, I won a little bit of money on the lottery the other day, and it all had to go on fixing part of our roof, which fell off because of the storms. So I was like, oh, this is not what you meant to spend lottery winnings on.
Oh. And now what are you going to do with your winnings? I'm going to fix my roof. It's just like,
Well, I get to stay dry. But
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I get to look up about birds, which I know little or nothing about, really. It's one of those things in life where it came across me the other day when I was with my family in a garden centre, and I realised, the last time we all did this, it was utter agony for us kids. It just felt exhausting. We're only in there for 5 minutes, and it just felt utterly exhausting. And now I'm at that age now where I'm interested in plants. And Wingspan, I'm interested in birds. I'm really interested in birds. Well, I'm pretty much late to the party because this game came out last year from Elizabeth Hargrave, the designer, and it's a Stonemaier game. And I've always secretly wanted to own a Stonemaier game. I've played a few of them now through my neighbour who owns both Scythe and Tapestry, which are hot properties and continue to be hot properties and have a bit of a cult following. And I plumped for this one. Just because I read in a review that the rulebook has a linen finish. Exactly. It just screams luxury. And it's a board game which is basically card drafting and engine building, where essentially you draw cards and you, depending on what time you play the cards and the arrangement, you're basically creating components of an engine, which... when certain things are activated, you'll get that satisfaction of watching that process unfold as you give yourself bonuses and upgrades throughout, depending on what parts of that engine you build. But rather than it being like in Scythe, numbers of workers or certain mechs that you upgrade and put on the map. This is just birds, because basically you play as a bird enthusiast, and your job in this game is to try and spot birds and attract them to your network of wildlife preserves.
And then you put them into your employ.
Yeah. It's not like you're actually enjoying the bird watching. It's actually what you're trying to do is get them into sort of like indentured servitude. Just like, I'm going to get that pigeon to smuggle this through the borders. I'm going to get this jackdaw to do my taxes.
It's not like when Sam got given that pair of binoculars when he was living in Manchester to have a look at the birds in his garden while he was living in a flat.
Yeah.
Well, it's to be fair, I got that gift from the same member of my family who bought me a sat-nav before I got a car. So...
Did you ever use it outside of the car?
No. Anyway, Wingspan.
Yeah, so each person gets a player map, and you've got on that player map, you've got 3 habitats: forest, grassland, and wetland, and you've got 3 horizontal tracks that correlate with that. And each track has a space for 5 cards. And so basically, in a game, the maximum amount of cards you can play in this tableau is 15. So it's very neat, and you've got these lovely little frames. You know exactly where you're going to place your cards. So on your go, you can choose one of 4 actions. 1, to play a bird in its relevant habitat. You look at what the habitat is in that corner and you play it there. 2nd, you gain food. So you look at the dice that's been rolled and you take the required amount. And you need this to afford the birds that you play. And it says it on the card, I need this amount of food to play this bird.
Can I just point out before the 3rd thing that as well as a linen finished manual, Wingspan also comes with its own dice tower shaped like a birdhouse.
Yeah. Which I could literally stick in my garden and it could be a fully functioning birdhouse. For very tiny birds, like a hummingbird, which are very native to where I live. The 3rd of 4 actions is you lay eggs, and you've got these beautiful eggs, are like Cadbury's mini eggs, Pete, basically. And you need these because as you unlock more and more spaces on the board to play cards, you need to use eggs to pay for that. And the last action is obviously to draw bird cards into your hand. It takes place over 4 rounds, and at the end of each round, you lose an action cube, so you're losing 1 action each round, which is quite nice because as you go further along, you're going to be agonising and thinking about more and more the birds you're playing. But because you've got less actions, it kind of evens out the pace of it, although there is a little bit of acceleration towards the end. Also, at the end of each round, each player has their own little there's a kind of a randomized goal that you have to achieve for that round, and you get points for that. Points are scored at the end of the game by victory points on the birds, the bonus cards you've got, where you've got your own private goal, the amount of eggs you've got, food you've got on cards, and little cards tucked under cards. That's the game. But what makes it really cool is that all the birds have special powers, and knowing when to play them is what is the most satisfying thing. Because every time you choose to either, gain food, lay eggs, or draw bird cards, you activate certain bird cards in that row, and you do that every time. And there's something quite satisfying about chaining these cards. So, for example, if I've got a bird card that has a white strip on it, as soon as I play that, straight away I get the reward. So, for example, my painted bunting allows me to draw 2 new bonus cards and keep 1. If I've got a bird that's got a brown label on it, that means that every time I do an action with that bird on it, I activate it. So, for example, my blue-grey gnatcatcher gives me food from the supply every time. And there's also some predator birds, which it's a lovely little mechanic. They basically take out smaller birds. So when you activate them, you look at the bottom of the draw pile. If there is a bird that has a wingspan less than a certain amount, you take that bird and you stick it underneath this predator bird. And that acts as a victory point at the end of the game. If I lay a bird that's got a pink strip on it, that's activated between rounds when other players do things. So my Eastern Kingbird becomes a big thing when other players play a bird in the forest. Oh, I get 1 food from the supply. And each bird card features gamified information based on their real-life attributes. So habitat, food type of nest, the amount of eggs they lay, their wingspan, their native region, and if you're a little bit bored, say Sam's taking really long and thinking about which bird he wants to play, I can have a little look, and there's a little bit of trivia there. So did you know, Dan, that the burrowing owl uses old prairie dog burrows for their underground nests? So, like, it's just lovely. You've got these little tidbits.
What kind of bird is that?
It's lesser spotted, Sam, believe it or not. It's the most beautiful thing I own, like, game-wise.
Yes, it is. And I think this is a good point for me to jump in, because I think that the beauty and excessiveness of, like, when we first played Scythe, I thought that was excessive, but this is, Wingspan is excessive in a different kind of way in terms of, like, the actual production values of it. And it is a game that I am desperate to play again, because I actually found the first time we played it really distracting, because I spent most of the time judging it based on its aesthetic presentation. I think when a game does that, and has this like linen manual, and it comes with its own dice tower and these little like mini egg pieces. When I play games that work in a similar way mechanically but do things a lot simpler, I felt like the first time I played it, I was spending most of my time going, is this really necessary? Like, what is all this stuff bringing to the actual game? Like, what would this game be without this excessive tactility? So yeah, I'm desperate to play Wingspan again. I think it definitely is more than the sum of its parts. Also, every time you play Wingspan, you've got to buy a pack of mini eggs with it.
Yep. That's the staying in recommendation.
Is that detailed in the rules?
Yeah, it's on a little post-it. It's really weird. It's really weird. Like, they've designed it this way. Everything's really like lavishly published, and then just on the back of Chris's rules.
I mean, yeah. And Sam very kindly brought me some mini eggs the other night. They're the same eggs that I left at yours from when we all got together. Or no? Okay, that's very kind of you. Thank you, Sam.
Were you annoyed the other day, Kris? Because I know my wife was, when we came round and we were going to play Wingspan, but I vetoed it. I played the birthday card.
You didn't actually play a birthday card?
No, I didn't.
No, but...
No,
I wasn't. Of course I wasn't ignored. Of course I wasn't annoyed, Sam. No, it's your birthday.
Right. It was just my wife, because I said, I bought mini eggs for when we play Wingspan. And then we didn't play Wingspan, so you just kept the eggs to yourself. And then, so she was like... But what about the mini eggs? That's your fault, because you didn't play Wingspan because you didn't want to.
So she generally want them because I've still got them sealed.
No, I bought her more mini eggs.
Oh my God.
I'm not an idiot, Kris. I know how to do the right thing.
Okay. Good. Sam, can we get more advice from you in this regard as well, please?
Mini eggs, good.
Yep.
Lying, bad.
I mean, that's all right. Okay, yeah. Let's go over to Dr. Phil to see whether or not he agrees with this. Yeah, he's giving me the nod.
And the great things about mini eggs is that now we're in season.
Yeah,
they produce mini eggs of varying degrees of quantities. So,
right.
For example, if you buy a big mini egg bag, there's an expectation for sharing. But I just was able to get my wife one of the little cardboard boxes of mini eggs that includes probably about 6 or 7. So she knew that those were just her mini eggs that she could have on her own. So, it's the little things, really.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is good relationship advice, actually.
Thanks. Nearly a year now, so, going strong. I did play the birthday card because I really wanted to play. We just played Wingspan like the week earlier, and I really wanted to show Kris El Dorado.
Who got you that?
Some lovely friends of mine. But we also played a little game called Omerta.
Omerta.
Now, who knows what Omerta is?
Okay, right. Hold on. There is a video game called Omerta.
Yes.
And I want to say, okay, it's got these two things that I remember about it. One, it is about, I think, like strategy or management or something like that. Like, that's kind of like the genre that it's in. And then the other thing is that it kind of looks like, maybe it's like Wise Guys and like Godfather, like that sort of thing.
Yes.
So is this related to the video game?
No, but it is related to the word.
Oh, is Omerta? Oh, okay. So Omerta's not like a brand; it's like a thing.
No, Omerta is an Italian word that's like your partner said, silence, Kris. But yes. I think it's has more of a sort of opaque meaning where it kind of means like loyalty to the mafia or loyalty to the family. Right. It's like a very specific word that's linked with the Italian mafia. Like if you were to cry Omerta, it's something to do with loyalty. And so this card game follows that same theme because each player plays as a different mob boss in the USA during Prohibition. And it's a game that I wasn't expecting to like, really, because it's a hidden information game, and they're usually like the bottom of the pile in terms of games I enjoy playing, like things like Masquerade and Coup and Love Letter to some extent. But you know, there's kind of games where you think you know what cards are in front of you, and then someone goes, "Oh, I'm going to swap them all around," and like, "Oh, who knows what?" Because I always just think, like, what's the point if no one knows what anything is? Then, you know, where's the strategy? Like,
what's the point?
Is anyone having any fun?
Are we enjoying ourselves? I know everyone's smiling, but what's the point?
It's a bit like me with party games.
That's true. But Omerta is surprisingly a little bit different in a way that it kind of simplifies that whole sort of game mechanic down a bit, because you have 4 cards. Everyone has 4 cards in front of them, and the idea is that you're aiming to basically get rid of your stock of alcohol and also get rid of members of your gang. So whoever at the end of the game or the end of each round has the least amount of alcohol and gang members in front of them wins. So it's a very simple concept, but when you start off and you have your 4 cards face down in front of you, you're only allowed to look at 2 of them, and the other 2 you don't know at the start of the game what they are. So just using that information, you then have a limited sort of frame of reference in terms of what you do basically on your go, because you can do one of 2 things. You take a card from the common stock in the middle, you look at it, you either put that card face down in front of you and take one of your cards and put it on the discard pile, or you directly discard the card that you just picked up off the common stock. And why that's interesting is because whenever you discard a character card, the action on that card immediately happens. And that could be something like get rid of one of your cards, or swap one of your cards, or swap 2 of the player's other cards, or like stop someone taking your turn. And it feels very sort of take that-y in a way. But the other thing that happens is if you put down a bottle card, anyone else can also put down a bottle card, but only the first person to put that bottle card down can actually do it. And that was the thing that elevated this game from like a quite frustrating hidden information game to actually one which had this like slight sort of party element to it, because suddenly it became a little bit like Dobble. When everyone was like, someone would pick up a card and then they'd just be gambling on whether when that card get put down, whether it will be a bottle card or not. And especially if you're taking a card and putting it into your stock and then turning over a card you don't know what it is, and then it turns out to be a bottle card, suddenly everyone else is racing to put down one of their bottle cards as well. But the fun is that you can get that wrong. And if you put down a card on top of that, which isn't a bottle card, you get a penalty, which is to take that card and then add another card onto your stock. So suddenly you've got more stuff to get rid of. But why I liked that is that suddenly you found out what one of your cards is. Or you tried to put down a bottle card, got it wrong, but someone else beat you to it, but you found out now what one of your cards is. So Omerta had this nice way of gently being able to be of never like limiting the information that you've got. There always seemed to be a way of being able to find out what you've got in front of you, even at the risk of maybe getting another card added into your playing area, which made it feel slightly easier and more welcoming than I usually find those games quite to be.
Yeah, I think what I love about Omerta is, and I like those kind of hidden role games. I adore them. Masquerade is very clunky because when you're playing Masquerade, you're not looking at each other. You're looking at the reference list, trying to work out which of this huge cast of characters is in somewhere here. You don't need to do that in Omerta at all because that only ever comes up when the actual card appears and everyone reacts at the same time. In Omerta, you're all looking at each other. And if you are going to buy this game, I recommend you sleeve your cards because we put a few creases in that very quickly in just one game because your wife, with a fists of fury, just kept slapping these bottle cards down. So, and it becomes, as Sam says, this game of Snap. There's also little bits of gloom there as you take great pleasure going, you're going to have that. You're going to have this card now, which means you cannot, I know you've got your eye on playing that card next time. You can't play that for 2 rounds. Enjoy that. And it's that kind of to and froing. Well, there's no chance I'm going to win this now. I might as well just try and just pick a random card off my deck and just fingers crossed it's bottles. And it just it just escalates into this ridiculous frenzy. So the ebbs and flows, the rhythms, the peaks and troughs in this game are really lovely. You don't have to keep swatting up and looking at the rules when you're playing this game. You can just enjoy it and live in the moment. And it was just a breath of fresh air because I can't remember the last time I played one of these games because a bit like you, Sam, I've got Coup. It's been sat there gathering dust for years. I never play it. I like the idea of it more than the actual playing of it. But this is something different. And it's really, really lovely to see a game of this genre who's just got it right, who just knows. And it almost flirts with being a party game at times as well, as you're just
I think it possibly is kind of like it is a party game. I think that interaction that it encourages between you all, and there are some times where you just think that like, right, I'm not going to win this. So as you say, you just start gambling and you start like actually, and it becomes a little bit thematic in that way. There are these little thematic touches where if you know that you're not going to win it, you can be a bit more cutthroat. And there are cards like one called Police Patrol where you can put it onto a player and then they can't call Omerta for 2 rounds. And it feels like there is enough power and there is enough control in that game that gives you that license to have fun into it. And it's produced by a company called Helvetic. They're a Swiss company. You probably, if you've been to a local friendly board game shop, you will see some of their games before, like Forest and Bandido. They're extremely small. They're almost like the European version of Oink. They make these extremely small boxes, like Omerta comes in this really small box. Everything's just in there. You lift it up, you deal out the cards, and you're ready to play. I mean, I would. After a couple of rounds, I was like, I'm really surprised by this game. Like, I really didn't expect to like it at all. But
it's beautiful art as well. Beautiful art.
Yeah, the artwork is really nice, and we're going away on holiday. Well, we're going away this weekend for my birthday, and it is one of the 18 other games that I've packed to take with
Sam, come on. Jeez. It's just like, right, okay, hold on, right, okay, got my list, right. Swimming trunks? Nah. Towel? Nah. Toiletries? Don't worry about it. I'll tell you what, though, here's 18 card and board games.
Is it just you and Lisa, Sam?
I tell you this, though, I like that. Like, I like the fact that you've got the gumption to take 18 games?
It was 21, but I slimmed it down.
Well, there we go. Like, everything in moderation.
She talked you down,
Jeez.
basically.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I really love it when I'm traveling and I take some games with me. But it's like when we went to Frankfurt where we didn't have suitcases with us. So, that, being able to pare games down to like their bare components and stick them in like a sandwich bag or something.
I'll tell you this as well. When you're on holiday, like, I think there is, I don't know what the term would be. Maybe we can come up with it. But there is something very special about the person who has bought one very good game with them. And there is something about that. It's like Holiday Hero? It's not Holiday.
A bit like when we went on my stag, Kris, and we played Risk Express, which was...
Oh my gosh.
Right.
What a gift that was.
We should have a name for the person who is responsible for providing the game.
I feel like the definition isn't quite clear, because sometimes, and this comes into like the reason why I've taken so many, it's like it's more about the person who judges the mood exactly.
Oh yeah, you're
right.
You're right, yeah.
And it's not necessarily the best game, but knows which game to pull out.
Right. So you're at a stag do, for example. Probably the person who pulls out, like Warhammer 40,000, probably not going to be the best of friends.
Well, if it's your stag.
Whereas, yeah, I mean,
good company.
I brought buses.
That's right. If Pete has a stag, we're not going abroad. Getting all of that through customs.
We're going to Warhammer World. I've told you.
We're off to Tenerife, but the thing is, we've got to take a 6 foot by 4 foot table with us so that we can play Fantasy Battle.
Because they don't have them there, apparently.
Now, listen, Dan, you've been really quiet, okay? Since the very beginning of this, you've been very quiet. And I think that might be because you've been thinking about how prescient it is that you and I think Kris to some extent, have been playing 2 Point Hospital.
Oh, topical.
I mean, it is topical in a very kind of distant sense.
Very tangential sense.
Yeah, very. It's a medical inflected game in a time when medicine is in the news.
So I wanted to ask you, Dan, and also, Kris, have you played it or have you just not bothered?
I have played it, yes.
You have played it? Okay, fine.
Yes.
So, okay, I want to ask both of you, have either of you played Theme Hospital?
Yes, I've shot rats.
No, but I did play Theme Park.
Can I just say something first in regards to Theme Hospital? And it's a bugbear of mine that's been bugging me since I was in year 8 of school.
Sam, you got the floor. Go for it.
Okay. When I was in year 8 in school, I once applied to take part in a competition in a video game magazine called PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
And it was a competition where you and 2 friends entered, and you took on 3 of your teachers. If the students won, they got £1,000 worth of games. If the teachers won, they got £1,000 worth of stationery equipment.
Good prize.
And
for the kids.
Well, I don't know. The kids still won either way.
As a grown up, I'm like, actually, both of those prizes are very valuable.
I love a laminator.
So when we took part, we submitted like our top 3 games. And for whatever reason, I mean, printing error, general incompetence, whatever it was, one of my top 3 games at the time was apparently Theme Hospital. And the byline next to my name was, I'm not sure Sam's experience of hospitals is going to help him today. I was like, oh! I've never even played the game.
Oh, man. Oh, disaster.
It does make you wonder what it was supposed to be that they misread, or... I
can't remember what my top 3 games at that time would have been.
So, did you ever go back and play Theme Hospital, Sam?
No. After that, it was a scarring experience.
Yeah,
so
sure. I've got appropriate for Theme Hospital. So Dan hasn't played Theme Hospital, and Kris has played Theme Hospital.
I played Theme Park, so I've
played Theme
understanding
Park?
of kind of management simulations and all that jazz. I've understand the concepts of them, but I've not played Theme Hospital. So there was an awful lot of elements that were new to me.
The elephant in the room at all times is that 2 Point Hospital is definitely Theme Hospital, but remade.
Yes.
And I think
ostensibly so.
If you look at 2 Point Hospital and you're like, I enjoyed Theme Hospital, I wonder if I would like this. The answer is yes, you would like this, because it is that. And that isn't to denigrate it. And I think that... Sorry, we need to pause now, just for a second. Sam, breaking news. Sam has uploaded a picture that I have never seen before, and this is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, because it includes Sam Turner, age 13.
Oh my god.
Whose favourite games include Theme Hospital, as previously mentioned, Quake 2,
Oh my
Not
god.
right.
FIFA 2000. I can accept that.
Have you noticed that Sam has a similar interest to Mr. Griffin in terms of his favourite game?
I know.
I know. Right. And it's also got, the pupils are there and represented, 14 and 13-year-olds. The teachers are also represented. No age, I think you'll find.
Sam does look like he should be on, like, the front of a Kinder Egg. Look at how rosy red those cheeks are.
Sam looks like, the picture of him looks like he's definitely had enough calcium, and that's what the advertising would like to get across in this picture. I would desperately, Sam, love to link to this in the show notes, if at all possible. Also, I would like to link to the second picture that you've uploaded, which has a picture of you front and centre, very excited at Sam, quote, enjoying Mr. Timothy's off-road driving skills as Sam is going to win. Like, oh my god, this is incredible. This truly is the golden era of video games journalism. Oh my god!
And you just
Sam.
happen to have this in front of you here, Sam. No. That's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I wish I did, because I got the name of the magazine wrong. It's PlayStation Max, not PlayStation Now.
Dude, PlayStation Max was like the magazine you'd keep in the toilet for reading. Oh my god, this is incredible.
Sam, do you still keep in touch with the rest of your, fellow students who beat the teachers?
Once a year, we have a we've got a tontine as well, which is where we keep all the where we keep the money we won. So
that is amazing.
Anyway,
fantastic! What a wonderful tangent.
Right. Okay. So. Oh god. So, 2 Point Hospital. But okay, I can't even remember where I was at. Okay, yes. So, 2 Point Hospital. It is very much like one of Sam's favourite games, Theme Hospital, according to PlayStation Max. And I think that so straight out of the gate, I just want to say 2 Point Hospital. I really like this. I played it a lot, actually. And it's a very meditative game, and I'm really enjoying meditative games. And I find management games, things like Project High Rise and City Skylines, I kind of see as management-y games. I find them quite meditative in that they're usually quite relaxed. There's usually a pause time button and think about what it is that you want to do. And that means that you can then just sit there and relax. There's no time pressure, no constraints in that way. And you can enjoy understanding the mechanics of the game and the simulation in your own time. I like that a lot. So I really liked 2 Point Hospital, but I also really like Theme Hospital, and I have a lot of nostalgia around Theme Hospital because I remember bloaty head syndrome, and I remember the announcer saying, "Doctor, to psychiatry, please." Like, I remember the specific sound of the person who's on that tannoy, and I remember seeing waves of vomit as an infection went through my hospital, and I would just see vomit after vomit after vomit in a corridor where I'd kept all of the seats together. And I remember all the hilarious, like, little faxes that you would get saying, there is a VIP who is going to be visiting, and this is what they're going to do, and then getting the results afterwards. And 2 Point Hospital does all of that stuff, all the way up to including radiators to manage the heat level of your building, which is a thing that, like, people who remember Theme Hospital will be like, "Oh yeah, you did have to do that." And I'd completely forgotten until I played 2 Point Hospital. So I really like this. But the reason that I ask whether or not you've played it, and Dan, I'm looking at you specifically. Did you enjoy this? Like, am I being blinkered by my nostalgia, or is it actually still a really good game formula? And the folks at 2 Point and Sega have, like, banged it out of the park on a formula that still works.
I'm trying to think how best to judge my opinions on this game. I don't think in any way it's a bad game. So I'm not disliking it at all. I've not played too far. I've played it for a significant period of time, but I've not played too far into the game. So the way the game begins is you begin looking after one hospital, and then as you develop through the game and you kind of level up, so to speak, you're given access to second hospitals and third hospitals. So you can then, you're multitasking different hospitals. So obviously the difficulty is then growing exponentially. Although I gained access to other hospitals, I wanted to kind of focus in on my core hospital to begin with, because I'd not played Theme Hospital, because I'd not played those games a lot. I purposely wanted to just focus in on this so I could get all those dynamics down. And to begin with, I kind of didn't get it. Not in a sense of I didn't really get any kind of progression, or not really understand what I was meant to be doing. That wasn't just press button A and it does something, then press the next button and it does something. And the way it works is you start off with a fairly minimal amount of money, and you have to do certain things. You're taken through a tutorial, so to speak, and you have to hire a receptionist and a doctor, and you have to create a GP's office, and you have to create a pharmacy and all that stuff, and it kind of builds up and builds up. And I was just kind of doing it as best I could, and kind of like picking the people, maybe the best qualified or the cheapest people and all that stuff. And then I was kind of like, well, I don't really get it. And then I had a patient die, and the patient turns into a ghost and then starts haunting the hospital. And that's when you start to factor in a bit more of that humour that comes in. And then you have people come in with lightheadedness, and it's because they come in and their head is a light bulb, and then you have to replace the head. Because, I mean, again, at this point, I'm playing it saying, okay, I'm getting this now. It's taking me with it. But I was still kind of not doing fantastically well. I was getting confused. I was like, well, hang on a minute. I've got all these people in place. I've got lots of doctors. Why are people still dying? Or why are people not being diagnosed? Or all this stuff. And I was trying to figure this out. It didn't seem to make sense to me. And then I kind of drilled a bit further into it. And I started looking at, well, hang on a minute. The person I've got running the radiology room, they're actually much better at diagnosing than they are at, like, practical stuff.
Right.
I was like, okay, so now if I move him to there, okay, and I put this person, because this person, at the start it was like, well, no one's died on this person's watch, so I'm going to put them in there. That's hopefully that. And then people started dying. I was like, what? I wasn't getting it.
Trial and error.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was doing. And so it was just kind of, once the tutorial was done, the more I played it, the more that humor comes through. I always really enjoyed, because what I was recycling my staff in order to get better and better staff. And so every time you fire someone, you have a little bit of text. And sometimes text is kind of like, oh no, I was enjoying eating food. Never mind, I'll have to stop that now. And just little things like that. Sometimes they're like, yeah, I wasn't very good. I'm not surprised.
The writing is so good. The tannoy announcements are excellent. The radio is really good with the announcers. So, like, there's a bunch of radio DJs. So you get this really fun, nice. I like to call it. So in the studio I work at, we call it Encarta core music. So you know that kind of like. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as it's like, it's that kind of like, sort of like like lounge jazz, but you're looking at an interactive CD-ROM back in the mid-90s.
A little bit elevator music, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but also music you would totally listen to. Yeah. Like, and then there's DJs in between who talk about stuff. And they've all got these little different personalities that are just really funny. Like one of them is really snobby and who's like really above just all of this, even though they're working in hospital radio. There's one person who is like a very like chill, very like not surfery, but very in touch with like the universe. And one person who is just 100% towing the line for the area that you're in. Like it's very, very in the back pocket of the mayor, it seems like. And then the writing of like the little emails that you'll get are fantastic. So each stage you're ranked out of 1 to 3 stars if you complete each stage. And as you said, Dan, like there's lots of different hospitals, and basically to complete the game, really, you want to get 3 stars in each of these hospitals, and each hospital provides a different kind of challenge. So I'm on to like level 6 and 7 and stuff like that, and I'm now getting into like figuring out temperatures and stuff like that. Earlier ones deal with like research and that kind of thing, like introducing like research and training up staff, so you can actually improve your staff. And the writing in all of these things, the writing when you like complete a level is just brilliantly dark, like very, very funny, very sort of, like the first one you get is like, wow, you didn't mess it up. Like, well, if you're feeling really brave, you can go and screw up the second one. Like that kind of sort of slightly dark, but well done, you're moving on. So the writing throughout is absolutely amazing. And it's just layered throughout, as Tom, Jesus Christ.
My name's Dan, Pete. Dan.
I know. And as Dan said...
Dan.
Sorry. Another one bites the dust.
I'll do that sentence properly.
And I wanted you kept in the fact that you don't know my name.
Oh, God. I've had a pint.
Dan, how long has Pete known you?
How long have we known each other?
About 16 years?
Yeah, it's a bit too long.
It'd be from the 2nd or the 3rd year of university.
So like at least 12 years, Dan.
Yeah. There are very few people who I can remember the exact moment I met someone. You are one of those people.
He does have that effect. I remember the day I met Pete.
He did not make a good impression.
The aura that Peter Willington at university protruded was powerful. The thing I'm really impressed with actually is, so we got like console codes sent to us, and I was really worried because I was like, this like, I know how complicated it is to get a management game onto a console because there's lots of processing going on in the background. And these consoles that are out at the moment, processing is not the sort of thing that they're particularly good at. And I was thinking, oh no, this isn't... I'm a bit worried on this one. And the PlayStation one is excellent. Like, so we played it, I think we all played this on PlayStation, and like it doesn't skip a beat. It loads up fast. The controls are excellent. They take about 10 minutes to get used to, I must admit. Yeah. Like most management games on console, it takes a little bit of time to like sit and think quite hard about what it is that they're doing. And it's almost like you get into the mindset of like the UX designer, and you're like, okay, so if I do this and then I'll do that. Oh yeah, no, that next button does make sense because we're here on the controller. The
only problem I had with that is I kind of touched on it in terms of how the tutorial plays out. So there were certain controls and certain areas that maybe it was going to explain to me at a later time, but it didn't tell me where there were certain screens it didn't tell me about, which actually turned out to be really important in terms of managing the overall happiness of people and stuff. I only stumbled across it from pressing a button, and suddenly I've got this sheet of all the patients in the hospital and their happiness. I'm like, oh, this is an important thing I should be looking at. Why have I not seen this before?
The issue that rubs me up the wrong way with games of this type is they are, and there isn't a way around it really, they're ostensibly driven by money. And that is, I know that's an important part of having a business and maintaining it, but it is the main, I know we talk about happiness and things like that, but in terms of that main indicator in the bottom right-hand corner that is constantly flashing, it is profit and deficit, profit and deficit. Yeah. And it just, it made me feel, dare I say it, a little bit kind of sad, really. Basically, you can't help but privatise. You can't help but cut corners.
But I like that because
I'd cut it there. Should we just end that now?
Yeah, sure. Because I'm cold-hearted and evil. I like that because it genuinely. This is the other thing. So I think there are two things that people don't talk about: Theme Hospital, and in relation to that two point. One is the game itself, which specifically the area of this is a management game that focuses on people. And there aren't many management games that actually focus on specifically people. It's buildings and rooms and processes and all of that kind of abstract stuff that management games generally focus on. Transport Tycoon is all about how do you get this resource from here to here, right?
Or it's like people in the abstract sense.
Right.
So 1 million people.
Absolutely. And 2 Point does not do that. It is interested in doctors and nurses.
Yep, they all have names. They all have personalities. Yep, they all have likes and dislikes.
Absolutely. And when you go and look at their personalities, they're like there'll be like a functional one. So, for example, it's like makes people happy, and then there'll be another one which is just there to make you laugh. And the names, first of all, the names are incredible.
Yes, Sam, you need to play this game just for XCOM stuff.
Their personalities are beautiful. So you'll have somebody called like Ronnie Carrot. And then, like, their personality will be the sort of person who scratches off all of the tabs in a lottery card. Like, they'll be really specific, and there'll be nothing to do with the game, but they'll be there. And it's about those people. It's about the people who run it and the patients. And I like that. And the second thing is that it also genuinely makes you think about how hospitals are run. And I like to think of it as how hospitals are run in America. Because I don't like to think of it as the way that hospitals are probably run in the UK. But like, if we think of it as how hospitals are run in the States, whereby every single thing the patient pays for a diagnosis, and then you send them back to the GPs, and that'll be another fee, and then there'll be a cure, and that'll be another fee, and like that money that's constantly ticking up, and the fact that you've also always got every month you've got outgoings, which is the people who work for you, and maintenance, and upgrading your tools and all that sort of stuff. That thing actually does make me think about healthcare systems, and that is the thing I love about management games. It's why I like Transport Tycoon, because it makes me think about how does something get from the farm to my plate.
That was a tagline, wasn't it?
Right, absolutely. It's why I like Project High Rise, because it's like, how does an architect design a building? And it's what I like about 2 Point Hospital, in that, how is my healthcare provided?
So, Pete, you big fan of Theme Hospital. Following a conversation between us, I gave 2 Point Hospital, gave it a good go. Because you know what? You're my friend. I love you. You wanted me to play a hospital game.
I love you, Dan, and thank you very much for doing it.
I, in turn, suggested you enjoy some form of entertainment.
Oh.
Because I have been watching a internet TV series, so to speak, from a YouTube channel and kind of website called Dimension 20, which is a Dungeons & Dragons playthrough. And their latest series is called Tiny Heist, starring the McElroy brothers and Clint McElroy, their father, who I am a big fan of. So I asked you to watch it because I thought you'd like it. Have you watched it?
I've not.
Okay, good. Friendship cemented.
No, he hasn't, Tom.
No, Tom, I haven't.
I've not. I will admit, I've not watched it. It's from, as you say, it's from the McElroys.
No, it's not. It's not. They appear in it, but it's not their show. I mean, they are guests on it.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I know you like RPGs. I know you're interested in that at the moment. You're kind of, that's a good interest for you. There are miniature elements to it, which we know you're a big fan of. This is kind of tailor-made for you.
Big fan.
And so I suggested it, all excited that you were going to be able to enjoy this thing.
Yeah.
And you've thrown it back in my face.
I was, to be fair, I was very busy with the hospital game.
Dan, you know better than to recommend Pete watch stuff or read stuff.
Or just do anything.
The thing is, Dan, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, okay, I looked for it. And then loads of other people were like, oh, it's really good. And then a horrible reptilian part of my brain was like, you won't like it because lots of people like it. You don't like things.
Hang on. So let me get this right, okay? In order for you to watch something or enjoy something that I suggest, okay?
Yeah.
I suggest it. The only way you watch it, if you then go online and find that nobody else likes it, and then you'll watch it.
That would work. That would work. Like, if you would say, oh, you've never heard of this, nobody's ever heard of it, super niche. The other second thing that would work is that if you were to turn around and say, I don't think you get it. I don't think you get it.
That's a red rag to a bull,
it's like both of those things. So, for example, like, something that has been seen by almost no one and it is quite arty or quite tedious, let's say.
So, Sam and Kris, you are fellow fans of the McCall brothers and their work. Have you been able to catch up with it?
Yes, I have. Yes, very high production values. I really, really like the GM. I find him very, very engaging. And yes, I've just nearly finished the second arc from the Adventure Zone. So yeah, I find them very engaging. The issue for me is that I find it very difficult watching other people play a tabletop role-playing game. I can listen to it on an audio medium, but because episodes in real time can last 1 to 2 hours, let's say, and there's such a sheer volume of content, sitting down and watching other people play for the length of what is basically a film, irrespective of how good or engaging they are, for me, it's just something I struggle with. And I've tried it with other shows like Critical Role, for example, that has a phenomenal voice cast. These are all professional voice artists, and they're incredibly engaging and very good storytellers. But there's something about watching other people play games in the same way that I don't enjoy watching people play video games. I just find that disconnect, really. So, but that for me was the only thing I kind of bounce off, and that's nothing to do with the quality of this show. It's more just me.
I would say that because actually for the first time, really, because the first episode of Tiny Heist is on YouTube, free to watch. I think there's 6 episodes altogether. The other 5 are kind of you have to subscribe to their website, which is Dropout TV. It's part of the College Humor kind of organization. It's basically similar to like a Patreon type thing. There's a free trial, and then you can pay monthly, or you can pay an annual subscription. And kind of for the first time, I've gone beyond the paywall in order to try and get the rest of this content, because I so enjoyed that first episode. You mentioned kind of the DM, which is his name is Brennan Lee Mulligan, and I've kind of listened to different podcasts. I've seen elements from kind of different videos of people doing D&D and stuff like that, and he's by far for me the best DM I've seen. I think his ability to tell stories and to weave characters and create an environment for the kind of the players to play in, but as well as that, you kind of get it a bit more in future episodes where they do a bit more. The first episode is very storytelling based, which I think works well for kind of that setup. When you go beyond that first episode, there's a bit more mechanics based, and your traditional kind of D&D of kind of taking turns and doing different bits and pieces. And he's very good at working those characters into scenarios, and if they come up with an idea, running with that idea and not kind of holding them back anything, but also remembering what they're doing and looping it back in and creating that kind of tapestry of kind of storylines. Actually, I mean, it's interesting you talk about the fact of kind of your difficulty in watching people play games, because I don't tend to really do that either. You have different games like review videos or kind of unboxing videos or how to play videos, but that's for me just an instructional thing that I'll watch to get an idea of something. There's not many things I will watch of people playing games. And I just, as soon as I started watching it, because obviously I was drawn in by the fact that it was the McElroy brothers, I was just really kind of taken by how engaged I was for something that I would never usually be engaged with in a video sense. People sitting around a table, I've seen other things that just, I get bored because I'm not engaged. But I was just really taken back by how much fun everyone seemed to be having, and then in turn how much fun I was having with it. And there have been plenty of times where I've laughed out loud, which would rarely happen in that kind of thing. And obviously it helps that I've got that pre-existing kind of connection with the cast members, so I get that humour and I get that relationship between them. But when certain things happen, it's just uplifting, and there's certain bits that he does, and I can't say because you might want to watch future episodes, certain things that the DM does that when he did them, I was like, yes, that's brilliant. From a storytelling point of view, from a game point of view, so it's not just for the audience, but for the players as well. He does certain things that are like, yes, that's great. Yes, good choice there.
For say, somebody who doesn't know or has much experience with RPGs, tabletop RPGs, and you've gone past that kind of paywall bit, does this series act as a good primer or introduction to it, or would it be just too much for a new person coming in? Would you recommend it to somebody who's not overtly au fait with RPGs in general?
I think what it doesn't do is try and teach you how to play an RPG. There is an assumption that you know the general rules. People often still have that view of it's for adolescent boys sat in a basement, dressed in wizard robes, pretending to be goblins, and that's the whereas this one, the story, it's a tiny heist. The story is it's a heist, but it's set in a world where everyone is no bigger than 2 inches tall. So it's set in the garden of this house, and some of the characters are fairies, some of them are other little creatures. One of them is a Transformer toy. One of them is a Lego Man toy. Aww. And it's brilliantly done. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of Justin McElroy, and some of the characters he's done through some of his RPGs have always been fantastic. But I think his character in Tiny Heist is my favourite character.
Really?
He has done
better than Taco.
Yeah, I just think I think some of the stuff he does is just genius.
I'm intrigued.
I mean, if you want to, they do offer a free trial. So if you want to go beyond that first episode, you can at no cost, and then you can then kind of start paying after kind of a 7-day trial if you wish. I think it's £3.80 a month, so it's not even like it's a massive investment or anything like that. The visual aspect isn't grabbing you. Maybe give episode 2 a try, because there is a much more of a visual element to that.
That was Staying In with myself, Sam Turner, Kris Darby, Daniel Frost, and Peter Willington, and it was also show 99 of the Staying In podcast, which can mean only one thing. The next episode we will be ticking round to episode 100 of this very podcast, and we have recorded something extra special for the episode. We crowded around my very small kitchen table one winter's morning very recently and recorded something super special for you all. So I do hope you enjoy it. Just make sure you've subscribed, you follow us on Spotify or whatever app you use to listen to the show on, to make sure you do not miss episode 100 when it lands in the next couple of weeks. If you do enjoy the show, then please tell a friend. It's the best way that we can to grow the podcast and make sure lots of people are listening in. And you can also leave us a review as well. That greatly helps the show, and we really, really appreciate hearing what you think and have to say about the podcast. If you'd like to send us in a question, then they're always welcome. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at StayingInPod or StayingInPod@gmail.com. And also, stayinginpodcast.com is our website where you can see all the previous episodes. You get all the links to where you can listen to us and all those contact details just in case you weren't listening. Oh, and there's Board Game Geek curation pages and a Steam curation page link there as well. Possibly. That sounds like right. Anyway, I'm going to leave you now. This is the last of the double digit podcasts. From now on, we're triple digits, baby. Bye.